guys, it's me again. I feel like baking. Guess what? And I was thinking, because it's kind of like we're all hibernating right now, and I don't know if you remember that I made an ultimate hibernation cake. It was a combo of brownies, cheesecake with a cherry topping, Oreos, good stuff. And so what I thought is I'm gonna make individual dessert versions of that cake. So the first thing I wanna make is brownies. I love brownies, and you should love brownies too. So let me just go through everything I have here. Here I have 11.5 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. And then I have 1 cup of unsalted butter right here. Half a cup of granulated sugar, 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar. I have a half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla. The next thing you need is 6 eggs in total. I'm gonna be cracking these, but we're gonna keep 4 of them whole. And then these 2, we're just gonna use the yolks. And 1 1/4 cups of flour, and then 1/4 cup plus a tablespoon of Dutch processed cocoa. So I've got my butter and my chocolate in the bowl. I'm putting it on top of the pot that has water in it. You don't want the water to touch the bottom of the bowl. What you want to do is turn on your burner and let that water boil. And once it boils, I'm going to just turn down the burner because the steam from the water is what is going to melt this lovely mixture. So first I'm going to crack the 4 eggs that I'm leaving whole. Why am I in the corner? Why am I in the corner? Nobody puts Yoli in the corner. Okay, so I'm cracking 4 eggs into a bowl. So I have my 4 eggs. Here I just need my yolks. I'm gonna save these whites because I'm always making buttercream. This is wonderful. It just comes together. You don't want any lumps in the chocolate. You don't want to see any butter. We just want to make sure everything is nicely melted before we start to add the other ingredients. So there we go. So first I have half a cup of granulated sugar, 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar, and then I have a half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to start to whisk these into the chocolate butter mixture. And you see it just start to look like it's gritty. Don't worry about that. That's just the granules of sugar that you can see in the mixture. I'm gonna pour my eggs in. Make sure to pop the yolks. And I'm gonna pour my yolks in. And then I'm just gonna add my vanilla at this point. Now I just wanna stir this nicely. It's quite a lot of liquid we're adding here, so give it a gentle stir. You just want everything to be fully incorporated and then move on. So I'm just gonna sift my flour on top and then my cocoa on top of that. So you can just fold those ingredients into the batter. Ooh, this cocoa is dark. It's quite a thick batter, so as you fold, you might notice clumps of flour and cocoa stuck at the bottom. Okay, now I'm gonna pour in the batter. Oh, I really want you guys to see it going in, so I'll do it the awkward way. I hope I'm making it in. Am I? No, I made it! Awesome! It's very different than cake batter. It kind of resists. So you do need to help it into the pan. It won't just sort of spread by itself. I'm gonna just lay the Oreos on to begin with. Oh, I was right. The brownie batter is almost as dark as an Oreo. Okay. What you need to know is you want to bake these brownies at 350 degrees. They usually take about 30 minutes, but always pay close attention. Everyone's oven is different. Okay, these are gonna look different when I bring them back. Okay guys, the brownies They're baked, they're completely cooled. I'm going to remove them from this pan and I'm gonna start to measure with a ruler and a knife and cut out perfect squares. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yes. And I'm gonna put it on this cake board. I just want somewhere to cut it. Oh, you can tell that the brownie is so fudgy, like when you cut through it. Okay, so some of my squares are slightly different shape than the others, but this is great. Now I'm gonna clean up and get my cheesecake. Okay, it's time for cheesecake. I have to be honest, I never liked cheesecake most of my life until I started to make cheesecake. So for this particular dessert, I'm gonna make my crust out of salted pretzels. I do have a half a cup of graham crumbs here, just to even it out and sweeten it up. 1/4 cup of sugar, and then I have 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. The first thing I need to do is crush up these pretzels, and I also need to melt this butter. Now you see my butter, and now it's melted. Please follow into the food processor. And here I go. I'm so sorry, that's really loud, okay. The air tastes like salted pretzels. For any crumb crust that I do, I usually do about 1 3/4 cups of the crumbs. I probably need 1 1/4 cups of the pretzel. And I don't mind if I see a little bit of chunks in there, because that will just taste so good. Okay, that's about 1 cup. And I think I have about a 1/4 cup here. Oh, I am winning. Half a cup of graham crumbs. A 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I'm just gonna toss this all together. So this is 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Okay, and I like to do this with my hands. I always have. I like to feel what it feels like. You can use a spoon if you want, but eventually you've got to get your hands in there and see if it sticks together. This smells amazing. So now this crust, this beautiful crust, is ready to be pressed into a pan. Crumb combination here, and put it into the pan. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just help to distribute these crumbs. So I just use my fingers, just spread them around the pan. And the key here is to really compress them. Anything at home with a flat bottom. And what I do is I really just press down very hard. Okay, it's time to make cheesecake batter, and like I said, I didn't always like cheesecake until I started to make it. Let me tell you what the ingredients are. The first thing you need is 2 cups of cream cheese, 1 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. There is another cheese in my cheesecake, and that's mascarpone cheese, which is this, and then I have 3/4 cup of sour cream. I have a teaspoon of vanilla, but I also have a vanilla bean. I have 3 eggs, and they are at room temperature. And then I have a half a cup of all-purpose flour. So into the bowl of my stand mixer, I am putting the 2 bricks, which is 2 cups of cream cheese. And then I'm putting my 1 1/3 cup of sugar. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn this on. It's gonna get a bit louder. I'm gonna talk a bit louder and start to cream this. I always start on low for a bit. I don't wanna wear the sugar. And then once it starts to come together, I'll turn it up. I'm gonna turn it up a notch just to help the cream cheese let go of the paddle. And then I'm gonna turn it up another notch. Okay, so I'm gonna get ready to add my mascarpone cheese and my sour cream and my vanilla bean. So you can go ahead and add the vanilla. You can add the mascarpone as well. So let's put this in. So you want to just cut across the bean with a sharp knife. Don't cut yourself. And you sort of split the bean open. But what you do then is you run the back of your knife across the bean. Put them onto the sour cream, and then I'll let you see how fine they look. Can you see that? See those tiny little seeds in there? Okay, and now I can put the sour cream into my mixer. Into the mixer. Again, start on low and let everything incorporate. Okay, so we have the cheesy part of the batter ready. It's time to add in eggs and finally flour. We don't want to over mix from this point forward. So I'm going to turn the mixer on to the lowest speed on my machine that says stir. Let me just add one egg in. Sometimes it's hard to separate them when they're all in a bowl together. Okay, and then I'm going to put it on to stir, and I want to see that egg mixing into the batter. That is looking amazing. This batter is looking fantastic. I'm back with my salted pretzel crust. I hope you did not forget about this. Let's pour the batter over this beautiful crust. See? The problem is I can't see. Trying my best. So now you do need to spread this batter. Again, it's kind of like brownies. You need to spread it and make sure it's level. So I like to use a small offset spatula. I love making cheesecake. There's something so satisfying to me about doing this, and I can't really explain what it is, but I've always liked it. And now let's talk about baking a cheesecake. You want to bake this in a water bath, which is known as a bain-marie. And so you need a pan that's bigger than your pan, and you put the cheesecake in. I fill the bigger pan with water about 1 inch up. The main key to baking a cheesecake is slow and low. I'm gonna bake this cheesecake at 250 degrees, that's very low. Like I said, put this combo on your oven rack, then pour hot water in between both pans. Make sure not to splash any water on your cheesecake. Slow and low, that's the key, because this is gonna bake for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna bake this now for a while. I will show you what it looks like once it's baked. I have my beautiful, beautiful cheesecake. I didn't get to show it to you baked yesterday because it baked for such a long time. I actually ended up baking it for about 2 hours, low and slow at 250. Okay, that feels better. And really quickly, take the parchment off, put a cake board on top, and then flip. Ooh, there's even flipping in this. Thank you for your help, parchment paper. And she's a beauty. She's wonderful. So what I want to do now is cut this cheesecake into the same size squares as my brownies back there. This is great. 3. Okay, so I made ganache yesterday. It was really simple. I showed you how to do it. It's just equal parts of whipping cream and dark chocolate. The cream is heated to almost boil, poured on top. You wait a bit and you stir. And this is what happens when you leave this out overnight. So you could see it's a completely different consistency. I'm gonna put some of this ganache into a piping bag. Just look at them. And now I'm gonna pipe on some ganache as the glue, and then I'm gonna carefully lift my cheesecakes and line them up on top. It's a good idea to use a small spatula to help you pick up the cheesecakes. I mentioned they're delicate, and if you touch the surface too much, it sort of comes off on your hand. So don't touch it a ton. And line them. I love nothing more than lining things up. I'm sure a lot of you know this. Okay, look. Just, I mean, the decadence. Look at that. Okay, so the first 3 squares I'm gonna top as an ode to my original hibernation cake, which had cherry pie filling and Oreo. So the first thing I want to do is get a nice spoonful of the cherry. Oh yeah, so just a nice scoop of cherries. I'm going to top this off with an Oreo. So remember all that ganache, we made such a small recipe, but I still have a lot of it. So what I want to do is pipe it. So I'm thinking I'll just pipe a few rosettes. Okay, I'm loving this. And now I think I need to top it. Each one I'm gonna add a whole half a stick of Twix, just upright like that. And then a few cross sections of Twix. I'm going to drizzle on some caramel. Now I'm going to create my little pretzel nest. Now a few eggs. I always like odd numbers. I like to see, 3 eggs. I'm speechless, and really I just want to eat some of this. So.